Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, August the 23rd, 2020. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. Welcome to the show. This is my weekly update that I will put on YouTube. And if you like what you see here, I have a subscribe star page for members only, and I do nearly daily videos for updates. I cover methane, I cover sea ice, I cover other greenhouse gases, earthquakes, and other things that are going on in the climate. So if you want to keep up with everything, that's a real good way to do it. We'd love to have you over there, and the link to my subscribe star page is in the description box below. So thank you for joining me tonight. I've been busy cleaning all day. I'm going to make this a short report. We're just going to go over methane and sea ice tonight, but we've got plenty to cover. So the first thing we'll do is the NOAA data. I've been tracking this since March of 2019. And been doing it on the 477/469 millibar reading for the NOAA methane data. They have two satellites that take 2 readings a day, so we have 4 readings for the level that I take and add them up and average them out so that I have an average reading for this level every day now. For the METOP-1 satellite in the morning for the 22nd, the mean or average was 1907 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2694. Now this high reading, we have a range between 2000 and whatever is the top number here, but between 1539 and 2694 is the total range of is what we're seeing in the colors down here on the map. But this pink color covers between 2000 and whatever the top number is. So in this case it's 202694 parts per billion. In the afternoon, the reading was 1908 for the mean, and the high reading was 2365. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1889 and the high reading was 2340. In the afternoon, the mean was 1886. The high reading was 2312. Now we'll go over to our chart and our spreadsheet. So here we are for our weekly reading for August 22nd here. I took all of those numbers and added them up and divided by 4. We come up with an average of 1897.5 parts per billion, and that's showing an increase over last Saturday of 1.75 parts per billion. So here we can see the blue line going up a little bit. Now the week before there was no change, but the 2 weeks before that there was an increase of 4 parts per billion each week. So we saw a pretty sharp increase here for a while. Then it plateaued and now it looks like it's headed back up. Now as far as the changes of what we've seen just since where I started over with the year of tracking it starting on February 29th, it's gone up 21 parts per billion since then. since the beginning, since March the 1st of 2019, it's gone up 40.25 parts per billion. And last year, from March the 1st, 2019 to February 29th of 2020, it went up 19.25 parts per billion. So this is where I've been charting it, and so when I did the chart today, the chart added another 10 points. We had 1900 as the top line, but the chart, it adds it. When I insert chart, it figures out whatever the range is going to be. So that's how much it's going up. So you can see that we're zooming on up, and the high last year happened on October the 12th of 1885.75 parts per billion. Now traditionally methane starts going up in the middle of the summer, like around late June to early July, and it goes up until about mid-October, and then it starts going down. And traditionally the lowest reading is around December or January, and then it starts heading up, and it usually, like I said, in June or July. But what we've noticed in the last couple of years is it started going up earlier and earlier in the year, and we saw a sharp increase in February, starting on February the 8th, and it's just been skyrocketing. So because of that, I started tracking it on a daily basis, and I do show this in my daily videos for my Subscribe Star members, that since February the 8th, it's gone up. Let's see, I've got it right down here. It's gone up 34.25 parts per billion. So here's what happened this week. Here we were last Saturday, the 15th, at 1895.75, and so there was no increase that week. And then on Sunday there was no change. On Monday it went up 0.5. On Tuesday it went down 0.5. On Wednesday there was no change. On Thursday it went up 1.25. On Friday it went down 1.75, and then the reading from Friday to Saturday, it spiked up at 2.25 parts per billion. But since it had gone down overall before Saturday, we only saw an increase of 1.75 parts per billion from last Saturday. So that's where we're at, and so this is a really sharp increase. We saw a higher reading on the Met-2 satellite for the means. Normally those are a little lower, like on the 21st, the mean for the Met-2, the morning satellite was 1885 and the afternoon satellite was 1884. And then on the 21st, for the morning, it was 1889, and for the afternoon, it was 1886. So that's what shot it up. And we're also seeing some higher means on the Met-1 satellite too. On the 20th, the mean for the morning's Met-1 satellite was 1909, and that's the highest I've seen for that satellite for the mean. And so it's been, 1905 and up all week, it looks like. Yeah. And here it was 1904 in the afternoon on the 21st. But then our reading for yesterday, it zipped back up to 1907 and 1908 for the Met-Op-1 satellite. So you get that going up, and then the Met-Op-2 satellite going up, and that's what shot our methane up to by 2.25 points, or parts per billion. So there's that. Now we'll look at the CAMS data. Now they have the Sunday data up, but I'm only going to show the Saturday data. I've decided to just match up the NOAA and the CAMS data and show them together, and then that way we have a better reference point of what we're looking at. So just seeing that it shot up 2.25 parts per billion, we should be able to see an increase hopefully over here. So here's our color ledger down here at the bottom, and I have the Arctic view and surface level ready here. So let's run this movie. So we're seeing immediately this huge release from northern Russia here next to the Scandinavian countries. It's just covered up with methane, and it's streaming out into this Barents Sea. We've also got it just really filling up into these very high levels throughout Russia, and it keeps streaming out now. You can see it moving out in waves through the ocean, and it's still coming up in very high readings around Severnaya Zemlya and here in the Kara Sea. It's also popping off on Iceland, and we're still seeing it come up in Alaska. Now this is typical for Alaska this time of year, because they've got a lot of earthquakes and volcanoes over there, and that produces methane. In addition to, they have a lot of permafrost, and that's melting, and as the permafrost melts, it creates a lot of methane release throughout the middle of the state. And we've got this release on the coastline here near Cumulative. We're seeing these waves of green from the darker green, which is that dark green is 1920 parts per billion, and then as you go to the right and these greens get lighter and lighter, we're going up in the scale until you reach this chartreuse color. That's 2000 parts per billion. That's this bright color here, bright green, and then it keeps moving up, and then the final range, this dark reddish brown, is between 2160 and 10,000 parts per billion. So from the greens up, you're seeing high releases. We've got high releases off this eastern seaboard of the U.S. as well. Canada's filling up. the U.S. from about the middle of the country over east is filling up. We've got very high methane readings in California from the wildfires, and it's just a mess. It is, and the smoke is unbelievable. And I'm still dealing with the smoke here in Reno. I've been in all week in my little one-room apartment, with the windows closed and the air conditioner on all week. I've been going out and trying to go out just a little bit every day. I'm trying to grow a little garden in my front yard in containers, and it's not doing very well. But I've been having to tend to that, and then I come in. I try and do it when the smoke is not so bad, and I wear my mask. But it's still getting to me, and it's not even, we don't even have fires here in the city. There are fires nearby, but nothing like Northern California. But it's, we need to keep everybody in our prayers who's being affected by this, and it's a large number of people and animals and plant life, and just the trees. We're losing so many trees, but it's been so dry and so hot, and that any little spark will just set things on fire, and then it just starts blazing, and you can't, it takes a long time to put it out. So now we're looking at the North Pole view. We've got, it's starting to creep over the coastline from India into the Bengal Bay, these higher readings. I've been expecting to see this sooner or later as we get these higher readings. And China's filling back up and creeping over the coastlines as well. And here's the Persian Gulf. Let's see, here's Europe, here's the UK, here's Ireland, here's Mexico, Central America, here's Northern South America. So remember, the greens are high readings, and they changed this color ledger, and the green used to be yellow. They changed it about not quite 2 years ago, and they changed the algorithms too. Without changing the color ledger, they changed the algorithms so that it's what we're seeing. It should be looking even worse with us in this uncharted territory. It should be looking much worse. So here's the global view. And we're in uncharted territory. Every time we see the methane readings go up, I mean, this is area that we haven't been in before, not with humans on the planet. And so we don't know how all this is going to be affecting the planet. The scientists, have done their studies about how things will be affected, but we don't really know, and we don't know exactly what it's doing to the quality of the air. I know it's just harder and harder for me to breathe every day, but it's because of a lot of toxins and stuff. But I'm sure the greenhouse gases aren't helping matters any. So now we're looking at the global view, and what we're seeing is this lighter blue color move down to the bottom of the picture now, to the covering. What this means is this higher reading is covering the Antarctic, and that's this color here, which is 1820 parts per billion. And remember, this is surface level. So this darker blue is 1800 parts per billion, and that's the color that we used to see for all the southern hemisphere. We used to see this darker blue because I couldn't see the outlines of the continents with the dark blue. It didn't show up. But now with the lighter colors showing up, because the higher readings of the methane, you can see the outlines of all the continents. You can see all of South America, you can see all of Africa, Madagascar, you can see Australia, New Zealand, you can see the whole outline of the Antarctic, which you used to can see. So that's, I know it's not a real, doesn't sound very scientific, but this is reflecting the higher levels of methane that we're seeing worldwide. We're also seeing methane coming up around the coastline of the Antarctic. We can see it popping up here next to the Weddell Sea, and here on this tippy point of the Western Peninsula. Now this is already in the sun. The Earth has started tilting. The North Pole is starting to tilt away from the sun, and as it's doing that, the South Pole is starting to tilt towards the sun, and so we're starting to see parts of the Antarctic are coming back into the sunlight, and we can actually see some sea ice. Actually, it's on the east side, you can start seeing it. But so there's that. Now let's look at 500 HPA. Now this is going to correlate to what we saw on NOAA. It should. And I'll refresh so that we can get the correct ledger. They still haven't fixed this. They're overlapping these two numbers. It's 1950 and 2360, I think. That's what it is. So the high reading is 2360. So we can see that the most intense area is here over India and over China here, and we've got reds all the way across Iran and Saudi Arabia, moving out and then spreading out across the northern hemisphere. We've got the dark green down to the bottom of the map now, and that green, that solid green, is 1820 parts per billion. So that was about halfway up in the atmosphere. Now this is total column, and if I refresh, we'll get a new color ledger to go with this level. If you don't refresh, the old ledger stays up. So that's 2320, and these go up by 20 degrees. So this is 1920 to 2320 parts per billion in this dark area. So what we're seeing is the highest reading is here in India and a little bit here in China. Then we've got reds spreading out and coming across to the Red Sea and starting to come over into Africa now. And this red-orange color, that will be turning red next. Now I wanted to show you something. I want to zoom in to North America. When you zoom in, you can see this high methane reading in total column here in Northern California. That's from the fires. And they're showing very high readings of these other, like carbon monoxide. Well, we can just go through these real quick. Here's carbon monoxide. That's from yesterday. We can see what it is today. See, it's a little bit less. It's spreading out. They're getting a handle on the Loyalton fire, and so it's going down a little bit. But earlier in the week, we were seeing white readings inside these darker areas, showing that it was above what they could read or register. This is formaldehyde for today, and there's a lot of formaldehyde over Texas too, and Louisiana. Here's nitrogen dioxide for today, very high. This is all from the wildfires. We've got, I wanted to show you surface level ozone. This is the bad ozone, and this is from the fires. See where it's spreading out. We can also see the fires. Now this is the total aerosols, including fires and dust and sulfur dioxide and everything. Here's just the smoke from the fires. See, this is what we're dealing with this bright red. 0.94 up to 3. This is 550 nanometers. Aerosol optical depth at 550 nm. So there you go. Doesn't look good. So let's move on. Let's go to our sea ice part of the show now. I'm going to start with Climate Reanalyzer, starting with sea ice and snow cover from today. Here's what it looks like. And we're seeing this break show up here to the northeast of Greenland and around the coastline of Greenland. It's getting quite thin around this eastern edge and all the way up to the North Pole. And it's also collapsing. It's in the process of collapsing on this whole western side. It's quite thin, and we're seeing huge holes that have opened up now. But and it's quite thin. So we'll go back. Hold on. So here's where we were last Sunday, the 16th. Here's what it looked like. So I'll just take you through the slideshow and show you what it's been doing since then. So there's last Sunday. There's Monday. Tuesday. You can see this hole opening up here in the Chukchi Sea. There's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, here's Saturday, and here it is today. So it looks, this is deceptive. This is just where the ice is blown together. Here is a 2-meter temperature anomaly for today, and we can see that most of the Arctic has some tan or brown color over it, and the Arctic is 2.2 C higher than normal. Here's the precipitation and clouds for today, and we're seeing a lot of rain just north of Svalbard. This is Franz Josef Land, so it's swooping up and up very far north, and then there's snow. This blue is snow coming down, and snow here, and it's raining on this northwest edge of Greenland and snowing on the interior there. Here's the sea surface temperature anomaly. It's updated to yesterday. So wherever you see, here's the chart from starting with the tan, going up into brown, red, and into the pink. The pinky color up at the top is 6C higher than normal, and we see that color up here in the Kara Sea and in the the Laptev Sea, and then we're seeing a lot of reds. The red is about 4 to 5C higher than normal. The brown is 2. The dark brown is about 5C higher than normal. So we can see that pretty much all of the area where it's touching the sea ice is higher than normal, up into the reds and the pinks, and at least brown with almost all of it. And if it's blue, it's lower than normal. Now we are seeing a little bit of blues here on this eastern side. There's a storm coming across, so I'm not sure what's going on with that exactly. The Baffin Bay is all hotter than normal. So the northern hemisphere is up 1C higher than normal. The North Atlantic is up 0.9C. The North Pacific is up 1C, and worldwide we're up 0.6C higher than normal on this sea surface temperature. So we've got a lot of reds and browns in the Pacific as well. Now we'll look at the Navy model for sea ice thickness. This is for today, the 23rd. Here's our ledger over here. The white is down to 0, and it's been collapsing, and like the lavender is about half a meter thick. The darker purple is 1 meter thick. The bright blue, the blue is about 1.25 meters thick. The dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick. The bright aqua is between 2 and about 2.25 meters thick. So, and then above that is the yellow and green and red and all of that. But we're not seeing any of those colors here. We're seeing this hole that's opened up around this northeast coast of Greenland, and it's melted around Ellesmere Island, and in these tributaries we can see where this is the thickest, and it's been melting dramatically this week, and it's the bright aqua, there's not really any real bright. It's going down, and it's about it's in the 2 going down to the 1.5 meters thick right in here, and then here's the 1.25 with the blue. The dark purple is about 1 meter thick, but it's not real concentrated, and this is deceptive. If you saw the article that came out this week about the German expedition ship, the Mosaic, that made it to the North Pole. It's an icebreaker research ship called Polarstern, and they made it to the North Pole this week, and they showed pictures, and there was a lot of open water, and they said that they were really surprised at how easy it was to just sail right through that sea ice. And so this is deceptive when we see this. I mean, there's a lot of open water, and where there's open water, there's sunlight being absorbed in the water, and not, the radiation's not reflecting out. So anyway, I presented that article a few days ago as part of my daily reports on Subscribestar. I'm gonna pull out that part of the show and put it as a separate post on YouTube. Hopefully I'll get that done this week, along with Sam Carana's latest blog post about methane tipping points. I did that article too. So we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. So here to the west of this midline, we're seeing the dark purple, and this, what used to be this egg shape, is now kind of a jagged thing that's coming down and just turning into all these lower readings, and you can see it flowing out these tributaries. As it's melting, it's flowing out. Even as it's thick, it's just moving out. That's how the sea ice moves. It moves from the Siberia side over to the Canada side, and then it flows out through this Canadian archipelago and down. It eventually ends up in the Atlantic Ocean. And we're seeing this has collapsed here in the Beaufort Sea, and this has all collapsed over here on this west side. You'll see on NASA Worldview. Alright, here's the 30-day animation from the Navy. It goes back 3 weeks with the data, and then forecasts out 1 week from today. So it ends on August the 30th, and it starts on August the 1st. So let's zoom in and see what they're anticipating that it's going to look like a week from now. First of all, what used to be a little bit of ice here to the right of Severnae Zemlya, they're showing that is pretty much going to be gone by next Sunday. And the extent is still shrinking. So this whole thing is shrinking in, and then we're showing really high collapse and melt this week. And on this Beaufort Sea over here, see where it's going down into the white from this 80-degree north latitude west. And we're seeing the aqua come out through these tributaries. That's this sea ice just flowing out. This is what's left of the thickest. And there's a storm. Sam Carana was calling it maybe another Arctic cyclone that was going to come over across Greenland and this thick sea ice area by the 25th. I don't know if that's going to play out. When he did that forecast, that was a few days off. We'll see. But this is kind of shocking. I'm going to stop it here. Right here at the end. This is on the last day of the model. We can see here on August 30th. It's showing purple here. So it's melting in. It's not melting uniformly. So it's got this area that's melting in here as this thicker ice is breaking up and moving out. So that's what we've got. So let's leave that. Now let's move on. I think I already showed everything I want to show on Climate Reanalyzer. I want to stick to the Arctic today just to keep it at a reasonable length. Here from the National Snow and Ice Data Center, this is the Sea Ice Index. This is the daily reading. This is for yesterday. I chose the blue marble view, and this is the concentration. And here's where it's darker blue, it's less concentrated. That means it's really broken up and not very thick and just slushy, and some of that is just like a little film. So it's deceptive to, you think this is solid, but it's not. Here's their chart for Arctic sea ice extent. This is the area of ocean with at least 15% sea ice. And this is the blue line for this year. This dotted line is for 2012, which was the historic low or minimum since they've been recording this. And so that's kind of been their benchmark. We had been below 2012 for most of this year, and then we hopped up over 2012 in July, but we're still headed way down. And like I said, extent is not the be-all and end-all. And in 2012 the sea ice was still quite thick. It was over 5 and 6 meters thick, what was left of it. And so considering we're down to 2 meters and under on what was left of the thickest sea ice, and most of the sea ice is well under 2 meters, this extent could go away in a heartbeat just with rough seas, So it's still going down. we're still in big trouble. Here's the Greenland ice sheet. Here's the melt. Here's where it's melting today. They've seen some huge melting on this west side because of the rain that they've been seeing. So we can see the salmon colors. Salmon color is where it's melting, and over on this east side as well. That's today. Here's the cumulative melt days for the whole year, and whatever these colors are, it's the number of melt days on this chart. We can see the most melting down here on this southwest side, but it's even melting in the interior, as we can see. Here's this is the melt extent for 2020. The red line is this year. This is the melt percentage, and the dotted blue line is the median that they use as a benchmark. And we can see that it zipped up. It's August started at a low, and then it zipped up to over 20%, and now it's still higher than their median, but it looks like it's heading down, but it's still not good. Now let's head over to NASA Worldview. I'll refresh the image. Okay, we've got all the data in. This is the sea ice concentration layer with all the different colors. I'm going to turn on the blue marble layer. That takes the clouds away. Let me refresh this. Okay. And I'm going to go back. So last week was the 16th. So this is where we were last Sunday. I'm just going to click through, and what you're going to see is like this purple here. That's the lowest concentration. That's like about 10% concentration or less. And that goes away from, that can just go away from day to day. And even the blues, just depending on what the weather has been like up there. So here we go. Here's the 17th. Now there was a big change there on the 18th. So from the 17th to the 18th, this almost all opened up here in this Chukchi Sea. Here's the 19th, and we saw it collapse in here. Here's the 20th. Here's the 21st. So it really opened up a lot. This whole thing opened up on the 21st. Here's the 22nd. And here it is today, the 23rd. So it's really shocking to see the collapse that has happened here, and what we have left is not good, and it's in a state of high melt right now. So we've got a diagonal line going from this northern part kind of diagonally down to the left, that is in the state of collapsing. We also see high melt on this eastern side. We're also seeing high melt going on around Greenland, and it's already opened up here where you see it dark. Where you see the black, there's no ice. and the polar stern just zipped through this. Just zipped right through it. It's an icebreaker, but they went, I don't know, 7 knots. They didn't have to sit and churn through it. They just zipped right through it. Now let's see what it looks like. See what we can see. Now we know that there's a lot of clouds right now. Okay, let me refresh this. And that there's rain up here. And the storm coming across. So let's just take a peek just for the heck of it. So here's Climate Reanalyzer. This is interesting to do. We can go to hourly forecast maps and global 10-day and go to Arctic, and this is precipitation and pressure, and we can see what's going to happen. So right now we've got 2 low pressure systems just to the north of Greenland. This one is showing 998 millibars, and this one is showing 994 millibars. So the lower the number, the more destructive the storm can be. And so if we run the movie, we'll see. It's a 10-day. And we can see the date up here, and then the picture down here. So it's headed, it's like they keep forming in the Barents Sea and keep coming across. One right, and here's one in the Kara Sea. Now where is it going? That's on the 31st. Here's another one coming down and across. So it's one right after another, it looks like, that just keeps forming and coming through. Now we are in the height of the melt season, and traditionally the melt season ends around September 20th. But we've seen these, and then it starts refreezing as the sun starts setting up there. But we've seen for the last couple of years that it continues to melt into October because of the warm temperatures of the water, and it's melting from beneath too. So it's hard for the ice to refreeze. So according to this model, we've just got storm after storm coming through. And it goes through September the 2nd. This model does. So it could really tear up what's left of that thick sea ice, especially what's like right here to the north of Greenland and up to the North Pole. And this is Ellesmere Island, and so the thickest ice is right in here just north of Ellesmere and coming out. So we'll see what happens this week. So there's that. Now let's go back to just cruising through the Arctic here, starting out at Greenland. This is a pretty good picture. Here's this hole that's opened up. See the chunks of ice? Those are pretty big. But see, it's melted all the way through. I mean, they could run a ship through there. That whole thing. It looks like that's frozen down there. Oh, well, that's on the land. That's the land. I got lost. Here we go. Stay focused. Wow, look at those. Look at that. Alright, so this is very poor ice. So this is what the storm is going to come through and turn up. It could easily go away with all those storms that are coming in one right after another. Now it's so cloudy we can't really see. Here's the edge. Here's the ice edge. We have to look through clouds and kind of guess what's going on. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. Now this is the area that we see these high methane releases on CAMS right around here. We've been seeing it come up here in this area on CAMS since January, when they came back online. They were offline for 10 days, and when they came back online, things were different. And we used to see continuous releases over here in the Kara Sea, but then it moved to over here. I don't know why. Here's smoke. See the gray? That's smoke from the fires. See? Russia's still on fire. So here's more clouds. Here's some sea ice. Here's where it's breaking up. This is like in the lavender color on the Navy website. Very thin. But they're counting all of that as extent. So that's deceptive when you just see extent. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Now this is a good view today. Here's where it's collapsed. Right here. And there's a little area to the west here of some thicker ice that seems to be hanging around. Now here's the coastline. Here's Alaska and Canada here. So here's the pieces of ice you can see. This is open water here. Here's the coastline. And this has been in clouds day after day after day. We really couldn't see what was going on here. But this is the collapse. That's just little pieces and lots of open water. And then this area has has fallen in. You can see. And here's open water there. So here's our 80-degree north latitude. And the North Pole is right there. So when we turn that sea ice concentration layer back on, that gives us perspective again. So this ice in this area is the next to go. And right up here. So when you zoom in, you can see that's not much. That's just not much there. While we're on NASA Worldview, this is kind of getting long. Let's look at the smoke in California today and over the US. It's blowing all the way across. See, you can see, and there are fires in Colorado and I think in Arizona, but it's blowing all the way across. You can see it there. So it's even affecting West Texas. Look at that. Where it's hit Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota. It's drifting into Minnesota and Iowa now. But this is it today. So and we've got clouds here, so it's hard to tell what's smoke and what's clouds on the coastline. But this is smoke from the fires. You can see it going all the way down through Bakersfield. Now this is LA down here, but it's all the way through the middle of California and coming up. Now we can see that the smoke is actually going up into Oregon now, because the way the wind is blowing. Here's Reno. See, we've got a little patch. We're in a little patch of clearer air today. You can actually see Lake Tahoe a little bit. But I'll show you what it's been looking like. Here's yesterday. See, look at fires here. Here's the 21st. It's awful. Here's the 20th. That was a bad day. Here's the 19th. It's been burning all week. Remember on my show last week I said that I couldn't breathe from the smoke that had come in? Well, the fires started, what was last Sunday was the 16th. They started on the 15th from lightning, supposedly. Now here was a fire burning up here in northwest California, but then here we are on the 16th, and it's so cloudy you can't hardly see it, but the smoke it blew down into Reno that morning, and that's when I had to close the windows. But it started up here in Loyalton near near Mount Lassen, which is a volcano. And then it got worse as the week went on. Then the fires just started popping up all over the place and merging, and look how it was going, streaming over the Pacific on the 19th and streaming up. So here we are today. It's awful. It's just... So it's one thing to intellectually know that we are living in the end, and to say, yeah, things are going away and we don't have much time, and you know, things are heating up and there's going to be more and more fires and it's going to get hotter and hotter. It's another thing to actually live through it, which is what we're doing. We're not just witnessing from afar, but living through it. And time is short, folks. So I've been reading the prophetic books of the Bible. I started on them last summer, and I finished up Daniel yesterday, and the next one is Hosea. So I'm going to start in Hosea chapter 1 today. And I don't do a lot of interpretation of these books. I'm mainly just reading them. A lot of people haven't read them. I have to confess, I have not read these prophetic books all the way through until now. So it's interesting to me, and a lot of the prophecies are relating to the end of the world, and so they're relating to what's happening in our time. So we can take note. Hosea chapter 1. The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms, and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And the Lord said unto him, Call his name Jezreel. For yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. And she conceived again, and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, Call her name Lo-ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Now when she had weaned Lo-ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, Call his name Lo-ammi, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Hosea chapter 1. So we'll go ahead and end it there. So I'm praying for everyone. If you've not given your life to Jesus Christ and made Him your Lord and Savior, I recommend it now before it's too late. Times are short. Times are getting darker, and time is very short. The days are getting darker, and to be fully protected, we need to be under the wing of God and Jesus. So until next time, I love you all. God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.